So last night I got to see one of those creatures of the night, one of those nocturnal animals. Why do they get all the cool names? Is there anything we got for the day? Daywalkers? Not like a vampire thing? Oh, for one. So that's not going to fly. But last night I'm standing outside and this guy's like, "Oh, do you see that owl?" And at first I was like, "An owl? What? Who's ever seen an owl?" The only time I've ever seen an owl was either trying to get to the center of a lollipop, which owls can't eat candy, am I right? Or up in a treehouse reading a book, and you're thinking, that can't be right either. So I'm thinking, how do you see an owl, and is he reading a book, or does he have lollipops? I'd go for a lollipop. And he's saying, no, no, that's a big owl. Like this guy was like, this is not just like an owl. This is like an owl. And at first I was like, oh, I was trying to look for it, but I can't see very well. And times like, oh, look at that, look at that. I'm like, yeah. I see it. And then they go, Nick, you're not even looking where we're pointing at. And I go, oh, yeah. Oh, it's over. Because the moment, if I don't say yes, of course, people try to help you find it, which is very nice, but they're like, oh, look, it's under that branch. You see that little leaf with the little dot on, and you're like, oh, this is getting worse. How are you? I can't see a giant bird, and you're trying to give me pointers by a little leaf and a little dot. This is not helping. Oh, it just flapped its wing. Where? And you're thinking, no. So I had to throw in a joke. I said, "Oh yeah, well back home in California, we don't see very many animals because they're all on a diet. Trying to get on TV. But this bird was huge, and I found out recently. Well, I haven't found out recently. I knew that owls don't eat lollipops and wear glasses, but they're ornery animals. The owls are not to be messed around with. They will mess you up. And apparently, the way that this guy was talking about this owl, I'm thinking like this thing would have like a 6 foot wingspan and was gonna like glide down and take my candy. So speaking of creatures of the night, I finally got to watch episode 5 of MoonKnight. Oh my goodness, it's been such a long time since I've been able to dive into it, and this right here, episode 5, was the most interesting and thought provoking of the whole entire series. And I can't get enough of this show. I'm hooked, hook, line, and sinker. And I'm going to jump right into it because there's so much that's going on, and we've got Mark and Steven who got shot, ouch, and now they're in the afterlife. Can we talk about that for just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail? Because the way that Tar read it, the hippopotamus, yikes, is a hippopotamus, folks. These animals, hippopotamus, definitely scarier than an owl. But this hippo over here is like, hey, you're in the afterlife. And not only are you in, this is just one afterlife. There are multiple planes of untethered consciousness. And I was just sitting there going, planes of untethered consciousness. And it really made me like think for a second. And because it was such an interesting idea that, that the afterlife or whatever all of this is untethered consciousness. And what we're experiencing now is, of course, a tethered consciousness. I'm in, and I'm not saying, I'm going to leave and go travel around the universe, although that would be cool, leave this planet, go float around in space as like a piece of energy. I don't know, but the way that the hippo was explaining it, untethered like consciousness, so it's like your consciousness like still kind of exists some way like outside of your body, which is a whole interesting idea compared to like while he's in this afterlife of existence, he's also able to like kind of supersede into himself to kind of make sense of the nonsense that his brain is trying to understand or his consciousness is trying to understand. I mean, and it's kind of interesting that the way that they kind of explain that is your minds couldn't even fathom what we're trying to explain to you. I can't even explain it, and I'm not doing a very good job. So your brain like comes up with, visions and ideas and kind of creates a structure for you to create sense out of the nonsense. and I'm thinking, whoa, this is such an interesting way to dive into this, and there's just so many pieces here that makes you start thinking about like what is thought and how are these all things like connected, and how has your life connected to what happens afterwards, and is there kind of a symbiosis or a connection of thoughts that kind of all lead us through, a path through a path or something. Because it kind of leads me into, when he transitions from being in this untethered plane of existence and trying to understand what the afterlife is, and go through his thoughts and really connect with who he is, and, understand the path he's on and really accept himself. He kind of travels into himself and meets Harrow. Or, well, not Harrow, because Harrow is trying to unleash a goddess and shot him in the chest. So he's not there, but Harrow is there as posing as a therapist. And it's really interesting because I was kind of having this thought that he is presenting that this is Mark's subconscious. And the reason that it's Harrow is because his subconscious has always been there trying to help. His subconscious has always been there, able to see through the emotion and the baggage, and read through the lines, and really try to bridge the gap and help him to heal. I think that it's an interesting concept within our subconscious. What is a subconscious, and do we have it? And I started having this thought of, what if it's your all of who you are, just without the nonsense of emotions, and the cloudiness of the traumas and the things that we kind of build up as walls. What if the subconscious has just a clear view? He's sitting on top of the mountain just overlooking everything and has a clear perspective. But we don't really tend to listen to our subconscious because we're so focused on all these other thoughts and trying to control our emotions, or what's in front of us. We forget that inner voice is actually trying to help us, and it's showing us these things because it needs us to work through it. One of the things that Harrow keeps presenting to Mark and to Stephen is that they need to work together, and they need to communicate to each other, and they need to bridge this gap that they've had. And he keeps, not only like helping him push forward, but also like giving him like good props. Like, you've been doing a really good job. You're putting in a lot of hard work. Like, these are all supportive things, on top of also giving advice to kind of circumvent all of these issues, and really come to terms with, the trauma that he's faced, and why he's kind of come to where he's come. And the reason why his subconscious is Harrow is because, of course, to Mark, it's a last-ditch effort in his mind to prevent a mental wall. You don't want to listen to the thing that's trying to help you, because the information that it's giving you don't want to listen to. So you'll create something to even push it away further. And that's why he's created Harrow, because Harrow's a villain. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say, even if it's good. You're being manipulative. So I thought it was very interesting that they utilize this character, and I kind of just a thought of how it came to be, and I'm almost wondering if that's kind of what the creators or whatever want. I would be very interested to know how they kind of determine what that all is, because there's so much to play with, and that's what's so much fun about an untethered consciousness and setting it up that way. You really get to dive into all these aspects of thought and consciousness, and heart and spirit, and who you are, and your past and present, and acceptance, and all these variations of ideas that are so, not, I'm going to get the word, and then, but we're going to keep moving because I don't have it now. But it's so interesting to me. What else we got? Oh, can we talk about just the episode in itself? Some key favorite moments. A1, where he suits up. That by far is one of the coolest suit up scenes I've ever seen, when he accepts Conchu to be his avatar, and he stands up and he rise, my MoonKnight. Oh my goodness. I even just saying it, you get chills. It's good times. And then the other part, oh my goodness, you got to give it up for the acting too, because when Mark and Steven meet like towards the end, and it's Steven coming to terms with who he is, that he's just a figment of an imagination, a protective layer to Mark, who has been damaged and hurt and has built up all of these walls of protection to hide away from what's happened to him. Steven sees Mark for the first time, and in seeing Mark for the first time, he sees himself. And there's this beautiful moment of them on the street just looking at each other, and Steven realizing who's in front of him and what he has to do, which is accept that he's here as a final point to help Mark accept that what happened in the past was not his fault, and it's okay, and that he can move on from this, and he can accept this, and it's okay that what has happened, and it's okay that Steven isn't real, and it's okay that all of this has come to pass, because you don't need to blame yourself. You can accept and move on. And it was just such a powerful scene. I was just so blown away. I don't know how they filmed it. Maybe he looked himself in the mirror to do both shots, because that just the facial expressions. When it's one thing when you can explain emotion through communication and maybe there's some movement, but just pure facial expressions. I mean, you have to feel that to your very being in that moment to really express those feelings and have it come across on TV. At least I think so. And I just thought it was, what a fantastic job. And I cannot wait to watch the season finale. But oh my goodness, what are you guys thinking about MoonKnight so far? I know most of you guys have probably already seen it all the way through, but you rewatch it 18 times because this is the stuff and we're here to watch it. So with that, I'm going to get out of here and go watch it because I hyped myself up. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Until next time, bye-bye.